I need a mother for my boys. The cowboy's cold proposal to a penniless teacher. The sun hung low over the wide, dusty plains, painting the sky in shades of orange and gold. Cole Matthews sat on the porch of his small, weathered ranch house, squinting at the horizon. His two boys, Luke and Sam, ran through the yard, their laughter ringing out like music against the stillness of the evening. Cole's jaw tightened as he watched them. Their joy could not hide the worry that weighed on his shoulders. It had been 2 years since his wife passed. 2 long years of trying to keep the ranch running while raising two young boys who needed more than he could give. He had always prided himself on being strong, on facing life head-on, but no amount of courage or hard work could replace the warmth of a mother's love. Cole's hand rested on the wooden railing as he sighed. The boys chased each other around the corral, boots kicking up dust and small stones. Luke, the older of the two, was 7, with a mop of sandy hair and a curiosity that matched his father's stubbornness. Sam, 5, followed closely, small for his age but quick and clever in ways that often surprised Cole. The ranch had seen better days. Crops struggled in patches, the well was low and the fences needed fixing. Cole had learned to manage on his own, but the task was becoming heavier with each passing season. And now, more than ever, he realized that he could not do it all by himself. A horse clopped along the dirt road leading to the ranch, and Cole's gaze lifted. Riding slowly toward him was a young woman, her small bundle of belongings tied neatly to the saddle. Her hat shaded her face, but he could see the determination in her eyes. She was new to the town, probably looking for work, and perhaps she was as tired as he was of struggling alone. Cole's mind went to work. He needed someone. Someone who could care for the boys, someone who could help with the house, someone who could bring warmth back into their lives. He had no time for hesitation or small talk. Life on the frontier was harsh, and survival demanded action. He called out as she approached. "You there, can I help you?" The woman looked up sharply, her eyes wide behind the brim of her hat. I'm just passing through," she said softly, her voice carrying a mixture of politeness and caution. "I'm looking for work, maybe teaching, or anything that might pay." Cole's eyes narrowed, studying her. There was intelligence there and a quiet strength, but she looked small and fragile in the wide open plains. That would have been a concern if he didn't already know better. Humans had a way of surprising you. "I might have something for you," he said finally, standing and brushing dust from his trousers. "But it ain't like other jobs. I need someone to help take care of my boys. My wife passed and they need someone." His voice was rough, but there was a sincerity beneath it that he could not hide. The woman blinked, and for a moment she looked as if she might laugh. Then her expression turned serious. "You need a mother for your children." Cole nodded. "Yes, and it ain't about comfort or fancy. It's about them having someone to care for them, someone to guide them, teach them, and help me keep this place from falling apart." His voice was firm now. "I can't do it alone, and I don't want them to grow up thinking the world is empty." Her eyes softened as she looked past him to the boys chasing each other in the yard. Luke stumbled over a rock, and Sam caught him just in time, steadying him with a small hand on his shoulder. The boys laughed again, oblivious to the weight of their father's words. "What's your name?" Cole asked. "Emma Harris," she replied. "Well, Emma," Cole said, his voice still rough but a little warmer, "I need someone to stay, to live here, to help raise my boys. You'll have a roof over your head, food on the table, and work that matters. I won't lie, it's not easy, but you'll be part of a family." Emma hesitated. Her life so far had been full of independence, of making do with little and relying on her own strength. The thought of giving up that freedom to care for someone else's children felt daunting. And yet, the look in Cole's eyes, the way his shoulders carried the weight of responsibility, stirred something in her. She had seen struggle before, yes, but she had also seen people who never gave up. This man, she realized, was one of them. "What do you expect from me?" she asked cautiously. Cole's gaze didn't waver. I expect you to care for my boys as if they were your own. Teach them right from wrong, help them grow, keep them safe, and help me keep this ranch running." He paused, then added, "I know it sounds cold saying it straight like this, but that's life, straightforward and hard. I won't lie to you about it." Emma studied him for a long moment, then looked down at the boys again. Luke had picked up a stick and was pretending it was a sword, while Sam tried to chase him, giggling uncontrollably. Despite the dust, the sweat, and the rough edges of ranch life, there was joy in their play, and she could see how much they needed guidance and love. I need to think about it," she said finally. Cole nodded. "I expected that. Take a look around, see what you think." "I'll be here." Emma dismounted and walked slowly around the yard, taking in the ranch house, the barns, and the small vegetable patch struggling to grow under the harsh sun. She could see the work that had been done, the effort put into every fence post and every corner of the property. And she could see the love in the way Cole watched his boys, even when his face was set in lines of worry. Luke noticed her walking by and called out, "Hi. Do you want to play with us?" Emma smiled, crouching down to their level. "I think I might," she said softly, and in that moment the tension in her chest eased just a little. The rest of the afternoon passed with the three of them wandering through the fields. Emma asked questions about the land, about the boys' routines, and about the little tasks that kept the ranch alive. Cole answered as honestly as he could, and for the first time in a long while, he felt a flicker of hope. Perhaps this woman could be the one to bring balance to his life and to his boys' lives. As the sun began to dip below the horizon, painting the sky with deeper shades of orange and pink, Emma stood at the edge of the yard, looking out over the plains. The wind carried the scent of dust, grass, and livestock, a scent she realized she had come to find strangely comforting. Cole approached her quietly. "Think about it," he said again. "It ain't an easy life, but it's real. My boys, they need someone, and so do I." Emma nodded, though her heart raced with a mixture of fear and curiosity. She had spent so long taking care of herself, relying on her own wit and determination. The idea of stepping into someone else's life, of becoming part of a family, was both frightening and exciting. As night fell over the ranch, the boys were tucked into bed, the small house lit by the soft glow of lanterns. Cole sat in his chair by the fire, staring into the flames, thinking about what the future might hold. Emma sat at the kitchen table, going over the chores in her mind, trying to imagine what it would be like to stay. Neither spoke much, but an unspoken understanding began to grow. They both recognized that the choice to join forces, to take a risk, could change their lives forever. For the first time in many months, Cole felt a sense of possibility, not just for the ranch but for his family, and for the chance that the boys might have someone to love and guide them. Outside, the stars began to emerge, twinkling like tiny lanterns in the vast, dark sky. The wind whispered through the tall grasses, carrying with it the promise of new beginnings. Emma sat quietly, imagining the life that might be waiting for her, and for the first time in a long time she allowed herself to hope. Cole watched her from his chair, silently, thinking about how fragile life could be, and how much courage it took to accept responsibility for someone else's happiness. He didn't know if she would stay, but he knew one thing for certain. His boys deserved a chance at a better life. And if Emma chose to stay, they might just get it. The night settled over the ranch, calm but full of anticipation. Tomorrow would bring conversations, decisions, and perhaps the first steps toward a new kind of family. But for now, under the wide open sky, with the fire crackling softly and the boys sleeping peacefully upstairs, there was hope. A quiet, stubborn, human hope that refused to be extinguished. The morning sun rose slowly over the Matthews Ranch, spilling golden light across the wide fields. Birds chirped from the fences and the corral, and the scent of fresh earth and hay filled the air. Luke and Sam were already awake, bouncing on the thin mattresses in their shared room, their laughter spilling into the hall. Emma stirred from her own bed, rubbing her eyes as she listened to the boys' voices. The small room she had chosen in the ranch house was modest but clean, and the view from the window, rolling fields and distant hills, was breathtaking. For a moment, she felt a flicker of hope. Maybe this place could be more than just work. Maybe it could become home. The boys raced downstairs, Luke leading the charge. "Good morning," he shouted, nearly tripping over the rug. "Did you sleep well?" Emma smiled, crouching to meet their level. "I did, and you?" Sam grinned. "We're ready for breakfast, Mom." Emma blinked. The word Mom made her heart skip. She had not been called that in years. Her life had been full of independence and solitude. To hear it, even from two small boys, felt strange and wonderful. She shook her head gently. "Not yet," she said softly. "But I'll help you get some breakfast." In the kitchen, Cole was already preparing eggs over the small stove. His hands moved with practiced skill, cracking eggs and stirring flour for pancakes. He glanced at Emma with a raised eyebrow. "You're moving faster than I expected," he said, his voice carrying the rough edge of someone who rarely complimented anyone. Emma smiled faintly. "I've done my share of hard mornings," she replied. "Teaching kids before dawn isn't new to me." Cole nodded, acknowledging the statement without speaking further. He had met many people in his life, and most of them had given up or left when things got tough. There was something different about Emma. He could feel it in the way she held herself, in the careful attention she paid to the boys. Breakfast was simple but hearty. The boys chattered about imaginary adventures, Luke claiming he had ridden a horse through a jungle, and Sam insisting that he had fought off pirates with a wooden sword. Emma laughed, encouraging their creativity, and Cole felt a strange warmth in his chest. Watching the boys smile and laugh reminded him why he had made the offer in the first place. After breakfast, Emma decided it was time to see more of the ranch. She walked with Cole across the fields, her eyes taking in the fences, the barns, and the small vegetable patch. "It's a lot of work," she said, her voice calm but firm. "Do you manage all of this by yourself?" Cole's jaw tightened slightly. "Mostly, but I've been getting by, just getting by, though. There's always more to do than there are hours in a day." He glanced at her, noting her expression. "I won't lie to you, if you stay, it won't be easy. You'll work hard." Emma nodded. She wasn't expecting easy, and she wasn't afraid of work. But the reality of the ranch was more demanding than she had imagined. The fences were broken in places, the barn roof leaked, and the soil in the vegetable patch was dry. It would take time, energy, and careful planning to bring things back to order. Luke tugged at her sleeve. "Can we show you the horses?" he asked eagerly. "Please." Emma smiled and followed the boys to the corral. Cole watched from a distance, noting the way Emma interacted with the children. She was patient, asking questions about the horses, teaching them small lessons about caring for the animals, and listening carefully to their answers. Even Luke and Sam, who could be stubborn, seemed to respect her already. As the morning moved into afternoon, Emma began to understand the rhythm of the ranch. She helped feed the animals, carried water to the garden, and even mended a few broken fences under Cole's guidance. He watched silently at first, then occasionally offered instructions. "Not like that," he said once, correcting her hand placement. "Use your strength here but your wrist there. That way the post will hold longer." Emma listened carefully, absorbing every word. She had worked with children before and had learned to think quickly and adapt. But the ranch required a different kind of skill, one that combined strength, strategy, and patience. She felt a thrill in learning something new, in applying her mind to practical challenges. By late afternoon, the sun hung low again and sweat ran down Emma's back. She paused to catch her breath, looking out over the fields. The ranch was far from perfect, but she could see its potential. And she could see the potential in the boys, the way they followed instructions and worked together when guided. Cole approached her quietly. "You're doing better than I expected," he said. "Most people would have given up by now." Emma shook her head, smiling faintly. I'm not most people. Cole chuckled softly, a rare sound that warmed the air. I'm starting to see that, he admitted. But it's not just about work. The boys, they need someone to understand them, to teach them right from wrong, to guide them. Can you do that? Emma considered his question carefully. She had always been independent, focused on her own survival and growth. But as she looked at Luke and Sam, laughing and chasing each other through the yard, she realized that she wanted to try, not just for the boys, but for herself. She wanted to be part of something bigger than herself. I'll try, she said finally, for them. And for you if you'll let me. Cole studied her for a long moment. His expression softened and he nodded slowly. All right, he said, we'll start with that. Over the next few days, Emma settled into the rhythm of the ranch. She cooked meals, taught the boys basic reading and arithmetic, and helped with chores. Luke and Sam began to look forward to her guidance, and even the stubbornness that often caused problems seemed to melt away in her presence. But the work was not without challenges. One afternoon, a sudden storm rolled in from the west. Dark clouds covered the sky, and wind whipped across the fields. Cole barked instructions to the boys, telling them to stay close, while Emma scrambled to secure the animals and protect the barns. It was hard, exhausting work, and Emma realized just how much responsibility Cole carried every day. Yet she also discovered her own strength, the ability to stay calm under pressure, to make decisions quickly, and to guide others through chaos. When the storm finally passed, the ranch was intact, the animals safe, and the boys were tired but unharmed. Cole approached her after the storm, his face serious but respectful. You handled that better than I thought anyone could, he said. I might have underestimated you. Emma smiled, brushing wet hair from her face. You're learning not to underestimate people too, she replied gently. That evening, as the sun set and the boys slept peacefully, Cole and Emma sat quietly on the porch. The wind carried the scent of wet grass and earth, and for the first time the ranch felt like a place where hope could grow. Cole spoke softly, almost to himself. I didn't think anyone could handle this or understand the boys like you do. Emma looked at him, seeing vulnerability she hadn't expected. I didn't think I could either, she admitted. But maybe we can help each other. Cole nodded slowly. He didn't say more, but his eyes told her that he was beginning to believe it. For the first time in a long while, he felt a glimmer of hope for the future, not just for the ranch, but for the family he longed to build. The night was calm, filled with the quiet sounds of crickets and the occasional distant howl of a coyote. Emma felt a strange sense of belonging, a connection she hadn't felt in years. She realized that life on the ranch would be hard, but it was real, and it was worth the effort. As she drifted off to sleep, she thought of the boys, of Cole, and of the challenges that lay ahead. She knew there would be more storms, more hard days, and more obstacles, but she also knew that together they could face them. Tomorrow, she decided, she would start planning lessons for the boys, help Cole repair the barn roof, and continue learning the ways of the ranch. She would give her all, not just because she was asked to, but because she wanted to. For the first time in her life, Emma felt that she had a purpose beyond herself. And as the stars twinkled above the ranch, she allowed herself to hope that maybe, just maybe, she could find a place where she truly belonged. The morning air was cool and crisp as Emma stepped outside, pulling her sleeves over her hands. The ranch lay quiet under a pale sunrise, but the calm was deceptive. Cole was already in the fields, checking the fences and the animals, his boots leaving deep impressions in the soft soil. The boys ran ahead of her, pretending the wind was chasing them, laughing and shouting. Emma had grown used to the rhythm of ranch life over the past week. She had learned to cook quickly, mend fences, feed the animals, and teach the boys their lessons in between chores. But today felt different. There was tension in the air, a heaviness that made her stomach tighten. Cole approached her as she reached the barn. His face was serious, lined with worry. "The creek's rising," he said. "Last night's rain came more than I expected. If it keeps rising, it could flood the lower fields and the barn. We've got to act fast." Emma's eyes widened. She had never dealt with such a sudden crisis on a farm before, but she didn't hesitate. "Show me what we need to do," she said, her voice calm. "We'll figure this out together," Cole nodded. "Good. First, we need to move the animals to higher ground. Then we reinforce the barn and the fences near the creek. The boys can help where it's safe." The two of them worked quickly, herding the animals while keeping an eye on the swelling creek. Luke and Sam followed orders, carrying buckets of feed and tying gates under Emma's careful guidance. Emma realized that teaching wasn't just for the classroom. Today, she was teaching survival, responsibility, and teamwork. By late morning, the creek had risen noticeably. The sound of rushing water filled the air, growing louder with every passing moment. Emma and Cole stood at the edge of the water, surveying the situation. "If it keeps rising, the barn could flood," Cole muttered. "And if that happens, we lose all the stored feed for the winter." Emma thought quickly. She remembered a small sand pit near the back of the property, used for filling in holes and leveling the land. "We can use sandbags," she said. "Fill them, line the creek edge, and build a temporary wall. It won't hold forever, but it'll give us time to protect the barn and the fields." Cole looked at her with surprise. "Sandbags, do we have enough?" Emma nodded. "We can make more if needed. The boys can help too. It's better than waiting for the water to come to us." Together, they organized the effort. Luke and Sam ran back and forth, carrying sandbags while Emma and Cole placed them carefully along the edge of the creek. Mud and water splashed around their boots, and the task was exhausting, but everyone worked tirelessly. Hours passed, and the sun climbed high in the sky. Sweat dripped down Emma's face, and her hands were sore from lifting sandbags, but she didn't stop. She barked orders when needed, encouraged the boys, and guided Cole where his strength was better used elsewhere. It was the first time she felt truly in command of a situation that could have been disastrous. Cole watched her, admiration growing. "I didn't think someone could take charge like this," he admitted quietly. "You're something else, Emma." She glanced at him, flushed and tired but smiling. "It's not about me. It's about protecting what matters, and that includes your boys and you too." By late afternoon, the sandbag barrier held. The creek's water was still high, but it no longer threatened to reach the barn. The animals were safe, and the fields nearest the water were spared. Cole wiped his forehead, breathing heavily, and looked around at the organized chaos that had prevented disaster. Emma knelt down, checking the boys. Luke and Sam were covered in mud, but their eyes shone with pride. "You did well," she said, brushing mud from their hair. "You helped save the ranch," Luke grinned. "We were a team," he shouted. Sam nodded vigorously. "Yeah, Team Emma," Cole chuckled, a rare, easy sound. He felt a swelling pride not just for his sons, but for Emma. She had faced the crisis with calm, intelligence, and courage, qualities he hadn't expected but deeply respected. The evening was quiet again, the storm passed, and the sun beginning its slow descent. The ranch had survived the crisis, but the day had changed everything. Emma had proven herself capable, not just in caring for the boys, but in thinking quickly, leading effectively, and acting decisively. Cole sat on the porch later, watching Emma teach the boys simple lessons in reading and math under the fading sunlight. The boys laughed when she made mistakes deliberately, and even Cole found himself smiling. He realized then that life on the ranch didn't have to be lonely or grim. With the right person, it could be vibrant, filled with laughter, learning, and shared victories. Emma noticed Cole watching, and for a moment their eyes met. She saw something in him she hadn't before: respect, warmth, and a hint of hope. She smiled quietly to herself, understanding that she had earned his trust. Over the next few days, the ranch slowly returned to normal. Repairs were made to the fences, the barn was reinforced, and the animals returned to their usual routines. Emma continued to teach the boys, blending lessons with chores, showing them that work and learning could be connected. She encouraged them to think, to solve problems, and to act responsibly, skills that were more important than any textbook. Cole noticed a change in his boys. They were calmer, more focused, and happier than they had been in months. Emma had brought structure and care into their lives, but also warmth and fun. The ranch felt more alive, more like a home than it had in a long time. One afternoon, as they rested near the creek, Emma looked at Cole. "You know," she said softly, "I didn't expect the ranch to need so much strategy. It's like a puzzle every day." Cole raised an eyebrow. "Strategy?" he asked, curious. Emma smiled. "Yes, you have to think ahead, protect the animals, the crops, the boys. It's not just hard work, it's planning, problem-solving, and quick decisions when things go wrong. Like today." Cole nodded slowly. "I guess I've been doing it all by instinct. You made me see there's a smarter way." Emma laughed softly. "Instinct is good, but brains and heart together, that's unbeatable." Cole felt a strange warmth. For the first time, he realized that asking for help hadn't been a weakness. It had been the start of something stronger, something better. He could face challenges and storms not alone but with someone he trusted and respected. The boys were nearby, building a small fort with sticks and hay. They called Emma over, asking for advice and guidance. She knelt down, helping them, and Cole watched the interaction quietly. His heart swelled with pride and gratitude. That night, after the boys were tucked into bed, Emma and Cole sat on the porch, looking at the stars. The events of the past days weighed on both of them, not with worry but with understanding. They had faced a challenge together and emerged stronger. "You know," Cole said quietly, "I wasn't sure about you when you first came here. I thought maybe you couldn't handle this life. But I was wrong." Emma smiled faintly, the lantern light casting soft shadows across her face. "I wasn't sure about me either," she admitted, "but I think we're figuring it out, together." Cole nodded, feeling a sense of hope he hadn't felt in years. The ranch was more than just a place to live. It was a place to grow, to learn, and to build a family. And with Emma here, he believed that they could face any challenge, any storm, and come out stronger on the other side. The night was calm and quiet, but Cole and Emma both knew that life on the ranch would always bring surprises. And for the first time, neither of them felt alone. They had found a team, a partnership, and a glimmer of something more: trust, respect, and perhaps the beginnings of love. As the wind rustled the trees and the stars shone bright above, Emma leaned back in her chair, watching the fireflies dance in the dark. She thought of the boys, of the ranch, and of the hard days ahead. And she felt ready, because she had discovered something important. No matter how hard life could get, humans had the courage, the cleverness, and the heart to overcome it. And together there was nothing they could not face. The Matthews Ranch was alive with activity as the sun rose over the rolling fields. Birds chirped, the horses nickered, and the boys ran to the barn ahead of Emma and Cole, eager to start the day. Today felt different. There was a sense of purpose in the air, a quiet energy that came from accomplishment and the knowledge that hard work paid off. Since the storm had passed, Emma had taken charge of organizing the daily chores, teaching the boys, and helping Cole plan improvements for the ranch. She had become a part of their lives in a way that was natural and strong, not forced. The boys laughed and listened to her, following instructions without complaint, while Cole worked alongside them, quietly impressed at how smoothly things ran with her guidance. Emma led the boys to the vegetable patch. "All right, team," she said, tying her hair back. "Today we're going to plant the new seeds and make sure the soil is ready. Luke, you can water, and Sam, you'll help dig. I'll guide you and Cole will oversee." The boys jumped into action, excited by the responsibility. Emma showed them how to plant each seed with care, explaining that every plant needed space to grow and attention to flourish. Luke asked questions about the plants, and Sam giggled as he accidentally dumped too much soil into a hole, but Emma guided him patiently. Cole observed quietly, leaning against the fence. He realized that Emma's ability to teach extended far beyond the classroom. She could inspire curiosity, encourage effort, and make learning exciting, even in a field of dirt and seeds. He felt pride for his boys and a growing admiration for the woman who had become the heart of their home. By late morning, the planting was complete and the boys were sweaty but proud. "Look at our work," Luke shouted, his small hands holding clumps of soil as he pointed to the neat rows of seeds. Emma smiled. "It looks wonderful, and with care it will grow strong." "Just like you too," Cole's jaw softened. "You've made a real difference here, Emma. I don't know how I managed before." Emma laughed lightly. "You survived, but together we can do so much more." The afternoon brought new challenges. A broken fence had been spotted along the edge of the property, and a few cows had wandered near the creek. Cole and Emma worked side by side to mend the fence, lifting heavy posts and hammering planks into place. Luke and Sam helped where they could, holding tools, fetching nails, and learning quickly. As they worked, Emma noticed that Cole was less tense than he had been in the past. He laughed more, and his instructions carried patience instead of frustration. She realized that their teamwork was not just helping the ranch, it was helping him as well. When the fence was finally repaired, the family paused to catch their breath. Emma looked at the boys, muddy and tired, and said, "Do you see what we can do when we work together? We can solve problems, protect our home, and take care of each other." Luke grinned. "We're a real team now," Cole nodded slowly. "Yes, we are, and it's thanks to you, Emma." Later that evening, Emma taught the boys a simple science lesson about the plants they had grown. They measured the soil, checked moisture, and learned about sunlight and water. Emma used examples from the ranch to make the lesson clear, and the boys were fascinated. As the sun dipped toward the horizon, painting the sky in gold and pink, Cole called them in for dinner. Around the table, conversation flowed easily. The boys told stories of the day, of little victories and mishaps, and Emma listened, laughing and encouraging them. Cole realized how much he had missed this, sharing meals with family, hearing laughter echo through the house, and seeing his sons happy and engaged. After dinner, Cole and Emma sat on the porch while the boys played nearby. He studied her quietly. "Emma, I think I was wrong when I first offered you the job so bluntly. I thought it would be about chores and care, but it's more than that. You've given my boys hope, guidance, joy. And you've given me, well, a reason to believe again." Emma looked at him, surprised by the depth of his words. She felt a warmth in her chest, the realization that this man, gruff, stubborn, but honest, valued her not just for work, but for who she was. "I didn't come here thinking I'd find that," she admitted softly. "But I do see it now, and it makes all the hard work worth it." The boys ran over, tugging at their father's and Emma's hands. "Look, we made a fort," Sam exclaimed, pointing to a small arrangement of hay and sticks. "Come see." Cole and Emma followed them to the fort. Luke and Sam beamed, proud of their creation. Emma knelt down to admire it, praising their teamwork and creativity. "This is wonderful. You built it together and thought carefully about how to make it strong." That's the kind of thinking that makes people succeed in life and on the ranch. Cole watched, amazed. Emma had not only taught them practical skills but also life lessons, patience, planning, cooperation, and creativity. He realized that humans, when guided by care and intelligence, could achieve incredible things. And he was starting to understand that having someone like Emma in his life could make their family unstoppable. The next day brought a visit from the townspeople. Some had come to ask for advice, some to bring supplies, and others simply to observe the progress of the Matthews Ranch. Emma greeted everyone warmly, introducing the boys and showing them the improvements. She explained how they had handled the storm, planted the crops, and reinforced the fences. The townspeople were impressed. "You've done amazing work here," one of them said, shaking Emma's hand. "It's like the ranch has come back to life." Cole felt a surge of pride. He had survived the hard years, but now he could see that with Emma's guidance, the ranch was thriving. Not only had they managed the physical challenges, but they had strengthened the family, the boys' confidence, and the community's respect. Emma smiled, feeling the same pride. She had not expected to find recognition so quickly, but it was rewarding to see that her efforts had an impact. She knew there was still more work to be done, but the foundation was solid. As evening fell, the boys played a game of pretend cowboys and teachers. Emma laughed as she joined in, showing them how to tame imaginary horses and count imaginary cattle. Cole watched them, leaning against the porch railing, a rare smile on his face. He had not laughed like this in years, and he felt a deep sense of contentment. After the boys were tucked into bed, Emma and Cole sat together in the quiet of the night. The stars stretched across the sky, clear and bright, reflecting the calm after the storm. Cole finally spoke, his voice soft and thoughtful. "Emma, you've done more than I ever expected. You've saved the ranch, taught my boys, and you've brought life back to this home. I don't know how to thank you." Emma reached out, placing a hand over his. "You don't need to thank me," she said gently. "We're a team. And I think we both know that the hardest part isn't what we do for the ranch, it's what we do for each other." Cole looked at her, seeing not just a caretaker or teacher, but a partner. "I think you're right," he said, "and I don't want this to end. I want us, the boys, the ranch, all of it." Emma felt a warmth spread through her chest. She had hoped to find purpose here, but she had found something more, a family, a partnership, and a sense of belonging she had never imagined. "I want that too," she said softly. The night deepened, filled with the quiet hum of crickets and the distant call of an owl. Emma and Cole sat in comfortable silence, knowing that the future held challenges, but confident that together they could meet anything. Over the following weeks, the ranch continued to thrive. Emma's teaching and guidance strengthened the boys' skills and confidence. Cole found new strength in working alongside her, discovering that life was richer when shared. The community began to see the Matthews Ranch not just as a place of work, but as a symbol of resilience, intelligence, and human determination. One afternoon, as Emma taught the boys about the stars, she looked at Cole. "Do you realize what we've accomplished together?" she asked. Cole smiled. "I do, and it's just the beginning." They watched the boys lie on the grass, pointing at constellations and dreaming aloud about adventures and futures full of possibility. Emma realized that humans, when united with care, cleverness, and courage, could overcome any challenge. And the Matthews family had done just that. The ranch was no longer just a home. It was a testament to human resilience, creativity, and heart. And as the sun dipped below the horizon, Emma, Cole, Luke, and Sam stood together, a family stronger and wiser for the trials they had faced. For the first time, Cole truly understood. Humans were remarkable, capable of greatness, and unstoppable when united. And Emma knew that the boys, the ranch, and their growing family were exactly where she was meant to be. The morning sun rose softly over the Matthews Ranch, painting the fields with a golden light. Birds sang from the fence posts, and the gentle rustle of the wind through the grass carried a quiet promise of peace. It had been months since Emma had arrived, and the ranch was thriving. Crops were growing in neat rows, animals were healthy, and the house itself had been repaired and brightened by Emma's care. Cole stood on the porch, his hands resting on the railing. Luke and Sam played in the yard, their laughter floating across the open fields. Emma appeared behind him carrying a small basket of eggs she had collected from the chickens. She smiled as she approached. "Morning," she said softly. Cole returned her smile. "Morning. The boys are up early as usual." Emma nodded. "They're growing fast. Soon they'll be running the ranch themselves." Cole chuckled. "Hopefully. With you guiding them, they'll know more than I do in a few years." He looked out across the fields. "You know, I wasn't sure at first. About asking for help, about letting someone into our lives. But now I can't imagine it any other way." Emma set the basket down on the porch table. Neither can I, she said. This ranch, these boys, it feels like home. Cole studied her face, noticing the quiet determination in her eyes, the warmth she radiated, and the confidence she had gained since arriving. He realized that she had not just joined their lives, she had transformed them. The boys were happier, the ranch was thriving, and he himself felt lighter, more hopeful, and more capable than he had in years. The morning passed with simple, fulfilling tasks. Emma and the boys collected water from the well, fed the animals, and tended to the garden. Cole repaired a section of fence with her guidance, and the boys eagerly helped wherever they could. Everything they did was infused with teamwork and laughter, a far cry from the lonely, exhausting days of the past. By midday, the townspeople began to arrive. Some came to see the improvements at the ranch, while others came to share news and supplies. Word had spread quickly about how Emma and Cole had rebuilt the ranch after the storm, how the boys were learning quickly, and how the family worked together. Emma greeted everyone warmly, introducing herself and explaining the recent efforts on the farm. Cole watched her interact with the townfolk, impressed by her poise, intelligence, and kindness. She had a way of making everyone feel included, respected, and valued. One of the townspeople, an elderly woman named Mrs. Harper, approached Emma. "You've done wonders here, my dear," she said, smiling kindly. "You've brought life back to the Matthews Ranch, and your boys, they shine because of you." Emma blushed slightly but smiled. "Thank you. I just try to do my best for them." Cole stepped beside her, resting a hand on her shoulder. "She's more than doing her best," he said quietly. "She's changed everything for us, for me, for the boys, and for this ranch." The boys ran over, proudly showing off a small scarecrow they had built with Emma's guidance. "Look, we made it to protect the crops," Luke exclaimed. Sam added, "and it won't let the birds eat our vegetables." Emma laughed, kneeling to inspect their work. "It's perfect. You two worked together and thought carefully about it. That's the same way we'll take care of the ranch and each other, thinking, planning, and helping one another." Cole felt a swell of pride. Watching his sons, watching Emma, and seeing the harmony of their family filled him with a sense of accomplishment deeper than any harvest or repaired fence could bring. As the day went on, the work continued smoothly. Emma guided the boys through lessons in reading, math, and basic farm management. Cole assisted where his skills were strongest, repairing tools and supervising the animals. Everyone contributed, and the ranch hummed with life, laughter, and purpose. In the late afternoon, Emma suggested a small break. She led the boys to the creek, where the water ran clear and cool. Luke and Sam dipped their toes in the water, laughing as Emma demonstrated how to skip stones. Cole joined them, showing the boys how to aim carefully and make the stones bounce across the surface. Watching them, Emma felt a quiet contentment. These moments, the laughter, the learning, the shared work, were the true reward of her efforts. She realized that life on the ranch was not only about survival or hard work. It was about building a family, guiding children, and nurturing a home. As the sun dipped lower, Cole and Emma returned to the porch, where they could see the boys chasing fireflies across the yard. Cole sighed contentedly. "You know, I never thought I'd see the ranch like this, strong, thriving, and full of life." Emma smiled. "It's not just the ranch, it's all of us. You, the boys, me together." Cole nodded, his gaze softening. "Together," he agreed. That evening, after the boys were tucked into bed, Cole and Emma sat outside under the wide, star-filled sky. The fire burned gently in the small hearth on the porch, and the night was peaceful, almost perfect. Cole turned to Emma, his expression serious but tender. "I know I asked you to come here in a way that was blunt, cold even, but now I understand you're not just a helper. You're part of this family, part of my life. And I want you to know I hope you'll stay, not because I asked, but because you want to." Emma looked at him, her eyes reflecting the starlight. "I do want to stay," she said softly. "I've found a place here with you and the boys. This is home, and I want to be part of it, not just for them, but for us." Cole reached out and took her hand, squeezing it gently. "Then it's settled," he said quietly. "We'll face whatever comes together. The ranch, the boys, everything." Days turned into weeks, and life at the Matthews Ranch settled into a steady, happy rhythm. The crops flourished, the animals were healthy, and the boys continued to grow in skill, knowledge, and confidence. Emma's lessons and care strengthened not just their minds, but their hearts. Cole found new confidence in his own abilities, guided by Emma's wisdom and partnership. The town began to look at the Matthews family with admiration. Other families came to learn from Emma's teaching methods and Cole's practical strategies for the ranch. People marveled at how the family had recovered from hardship, showing resilience, intelligence, and cooperation. One afternoon, as Emma and Cole worked side by side repairing the barn roof, Luke and Sam ran up, holding a small journal. "We wrote about everything we've learned," Luke exclaimed. Sam added, "and about how we work together as a family." Emma knelt to look at the journal, flipping through the pages filled with drawings, notes, and little reflections. She smiled, tears prickling her eyes. "This is wonderful. You two are learning not just about schoolwork, but about life, about responsibility, teamwork, and care." Cole leaned over her shoulder, reading a page where the boys had written about the storm and how they had helped protect the ranch. He felt a deep pride swell in him. "We did this together," he said quietly, "all of us." The boys beamed at him, and Emma placed a hand on Cole's arm. "You see," she said softly, "humans are capable of so much when they work together, and our family proves it." That evening, as the sun set, the four of them sat on the porch together. The boys leaned against Emma, Cole's arm resting over both her shoulders. They watched the sky turn deep purple, the stars appearing one by one. Cole spoke softly. "I've learned a lot these past months. About strength, about care, and about hope. I thought I could manage on my own, but I was wrong. Humans, people, they're stronger when they work together. And now, thanks to all of you, I see what that really means." Emma smiled, feeling warmth spread through her chest. "We've all learned together," she said, "and we'll keep learning every day." Luke yawned, leaning against Cole. "I love our family," he mumbled sleepily. Sam nodded, eyes half closed. "Me too. I don't want anything else." Cole chuckled, kissing each boy on the forehead. "Neither do I," he said. He looked at Emma, gratitude and love in his eyes. "Neither do I." As the night grew quiet, the Matthews Ranch glowed with a soft light from the house, warm and inviting. The fields were calm, the animals settled, and the stars shone bright overhead. For Emma, Cole, Luke, and Sam, life had transformed from survival into something greater: hope, love, and lasting connection. The ranch was no longer just a place to live. It was a symbol of human resilience, cleverness, and heart. It was proof that with care, intelligence, and courage, people could face any challenge and come out stronger. And for the Matthews family, it was proof that together, they could build a life filled with joy, learning, and endless possibilities. They had faced storms, challenges, and uncertainty, and they had emerged stronger, closer, and full of hope. The ranch would thrive, the boys would grow wise and kind, and Emma and Cole would continue to build their family, teaching everyone around them that humans, when united, were unstoppable. The wind whispered through the trees, carrying the quiet music of the night. The stars shone above, a reminder of the endless possibilities of tomorrow. And the Matthews family, together and unshakable, rested under the wide-open sky, ready for whatever adventures awaited them next.